KSI is one of the most successful YouTubers on the planet. He went from making FIFA videos in his bedroom to performing in front of millions on multiple different stages, doing multiple different things. He started off with music, then transitioned to YouTube boxing, and has conquered every aspect of his life. He is also known for producing some of the best quality content YouTube has to provide with his team and his group, the Sidemen. And on January the 26th, 2023, he released his documentary, KSI In Real Life. And today I want to talk about it, and I will give you my honest opinion, so stick around. So the first thing that I want to say about this documentary is that it's good, okay? And if you haven't watched it already, go and watch it. It's sick. It's on Amazon Prime right now. It's free if you have Amazon Prime. It's no extra cost, and it's really entertaining. With some productions, you kind of feel like that you have wasted time watching it, but you definitely don't get that feeling with this. You feel satisfied and fulfilled from the time that you put into watching it. It is an hour and a half, so it is relatively lengthy. I got bored one time and I soon quickly kind of refocused and begin to like the plot of the whole documentary again, and it picked up again. So it was only boring for like a split second, and then it picked up again. So it's very entertaining, and I do recommend it before you do watch this. It will give some spoilers, and yeah. Now moving on to the actual documentary itself, I'm going to be going over some points that I've written down throughout watching the documentary and my perspective after watching. So at the beginning of the documentary, it starts with a very humble beginning, showing KSI in his bedroom, showing his childhood, and showing kind of the seeds that were sown by KSI in his bedroom all them years ago when he was 15, 16, 17 and probably 18. Whilst he produced pretty bad content, but he was really hyperactive and super active and all that kind of stuff, producing loads and loads of content. It gave a really good insight into what it was like to be KSI back then, what he was thinking, and why exactly he started to upload. And something that is predominant throughout the whole of this documentary and starts off in the beginning is he is successful because of his parents. Not necessarily because his parents are good, but because his parents are harsh people that always wanted the best for KSI, but pushed him to the extremes. And because of this constant pressure from his parents, KSI was afraid to fail. He is afraid to fail at anything, and that is something that's built into him to this day, and it is kind of established at the beginning of this documentary and gives reason to why he was uploading on the internet in the first place. He wants to succeed at something. He wants to prove his parents wrong. He wants to show them that he can stand on his own 2 feet and do whatever he wants, and that's exactly what he did. It was very inspirational. You know, KSI comes from pretty much a similar background to me, you know, a similar background to just about anybody. Grew up in the UK, didn't really know what was going on too much, just a young person and somebody that is essentially hard working, but is doing stuff that people question, that people don't really understand. But he's always had a greater image in his head of what is going to be coming out of the whole thing and what is going to be happening, and that was fantastic. And it really built that relatability at the beginning of the documentary series, and because of that it was so inspirational. You know, this thing was a documentary, so it was the truth. You know, it wasn't an inspirational movie where you're like, oh well, you know, Rocky Balboa can do that, but it's all fiction. You know, it's not really made up. Yeah, maybe it's based a little bit on the true story, but it's all kind of twisted for Hollywood. This wasn't. This was real, and that made it that much more inspirational and entertaining. It was also very well produced, and throughout the whole documentary I felt always engaged. The time skips, the time jumps were always well done. It wasn't like badly structured or anything. It was one continuous line going towards the end of the documentary series. It wasn't a load of different moving parts that just didn't really function together. It all worked out pretty smoothly, and I really enjoyed it. You know, some of the hardest things that you can do when making a project like this, a game, a documentary series, a movie, is the pacing. You know, you pick up pace from a certain scene and then you have to transition to the next one, and it kind of gets rid of the momentum that you've already built. But throughout this, it just continued building the momentum throughout the whole of the documentary, and it was really effective in that manner. The next stage of the documentary was his music career, which was very, very interesting to me. Now, personally, I don't listen to KSI's music. I don't think he's that good, I don't think he's bad, I think he's doing well. But personally, I just don't like to listen to him. Maybe when he releases an odd song that's super popular, I'll give it a listen. But I'm not an avid listener of KSI in any aspect of the imagination, I simply support him, watch a few songs like his new one with Oliver Tree, but that's it, But I'm still interested to see what it's like for him to produce music, to go from somebody like me in a similar situation to me, to go onto stages. He announced that he was kind of introverted, alone quite a lot in his childhood, and he didn't really speak in front of many people, he was quite quiet. To go in from that to somebody that is performing in front of 85 million people at Leeds Fest, it's absolutely insane, and I wanted an insight, and this documentary gave me that insight, which was really, really cool. I saw a load and load of clips on the internet of KSI jumping around on a stage in front of loads and loads of people, and I was like, how is this guy doing this, and what is he doing, Like, he's started producing some music, and now he's singing in front of 1,000 people. I mean, what is happening here? And is this guy nervous? He doesn't look nervous at all when he's on stage. And he's not, the guy's an absolute savage. He knows exactly what he wants and he knows what he's doing. And he's just above everybody else in that aspect, I would be so nervous going onto a stage like that, coming from a place where KSI came from, nothing extraordinary. And it was just a cool note to see that. I'm not too interested in the music, but it was still really cool to see kind of that stage fright aspect of the whole thing. It was also really, really cool to see KSI's family, kind of the beginning of his YouTube career, where he was producing a lot of content with his family. His family was very, very involved because the family content got a lot of views, it got a lot of recognition. It was very different from the rest of his content, playing pranks on his brother, playing pranks on his parents. I remember Deji was pretending to do drugs in the bedroom and all that kind of stuff, setting up hidden cameras, and all that kind of content was really, really enjoyable, and I remember watching it to this day, and I remember enjoying it very, very much. I don't know if I'd enjoy it still, but it's whatever. And it was once again amazing to get an insight onto them videos a little bit of that stage in KSI's YouTube boxing career. It was interesting to see, and very, very cool to kind of imagine how it was like to be doing that, And it comes round again to the family aspect, the failure that KSI is so scared of, and kind of brought up in this whole documentary series. He also stated, which was really, really interesting to me, about how he wasn't that close to his family, and when the camera switched off, he kind of switched back to his normal self, and he wasn't that friendly with his family, compared to on camera. And that must have been very, very hard for KSI, It also showed a pretty cool insight to KSI's fan base from an outsider's perspective. If you didn't know KSI at all before this documentary would be a great starter to get introduced to him. We saw him with his fans, we saw his fans' interactions, we heard the fans' opinions on KSI and why they like him so much, and it all generally went around the fact that KSI is such an honest person, he cares about his fans, and he's always been there for them. And whenever they feel kind of sad, they put on a KSI video and it cheers them up. And that's literally some of the words out of a KSI's fan's mouth. Okay. It was also interesting to see the sacrifices that KSI made to be able to essentially go up and perform and live this lavish lifestyle that he does. The guy's traveling around all over the place doing loads and loads of different things. And you got to question, when does he have time to see his friends? When does he have time to do the things that he enjoys and to see the people that he likes? And this was brought up with his girlfriend. He's had a girlfriend for a long time that stayed anonymous, which I think is a very, very smart idea, a very good thing. KSI's fan base can be a bit wild sometimes, and I think it would just be a negative thing to expose his girlfriend to them. And ultimately, they broke up because of KSI's lifestyle. They broke up because KSI was moving around, doing all these crazy things, performing in loads of areas, and he kind of felt it was unfair to her because he just wasn't there for her anymore, and she was showing dissatisfaction because he just wasn't there, and that really split the relationship apart. KSI has become so successful that he doesn't even have time to talk to his girlfriend or his friends, And we kind of leave this documentary on a pretty positive note. We had KSI talking to his dad, and it really gave a nice insight to his father and son relationship. You know, his dad wasn't always there for him. He wasn't the best father in the world. He was strict, and definitely one of the reasons why KSI is so successful. And I definitely think people with trauma, people with a different fire underneath them, once they have kind of family issues and all that kind of stuff, just go a lot further than people that don't. We see this in boxing a lot. You know, Manny Pacquiao, one of the best boxers in the world, he ran away from home after his dad ate his pet dog and was really, you know, whatever, mean to him, abusive, and he went and started to box as an escape, as a way to get money. He lived in the boxing gym because he had nowhere else to stay, and he was impoverished, he was malnourished, he was stepping onto the weights, onto the scales, filled with water, carrying water, trying to sneak extra weight on so he can just fight, you know. And people like that just go way further because they have a different fuel underneath them, a different fire that many people just can't even imagine, they can't relate to. And we leave this documentary seeing his relationships all kind of come together for the better, his life improving, going to the up, because he felt really sad. He felt really sad during 2021, I believe, didn't feel too happy about that, and ultimately he's on the mend now, he's doing better, his family relationship's better, he had a good conversation with his dad, and that's the best thing for KSI, you know. We've seen him, he's produced loads and loads of content, but you gotta ask yourself, when does it get too much? When is he sacrificing too much of himself and his life and his family? And when does he need to take a break? And when you become so successful, the success itself can become toxic and can become bad, and KSI is fighting against that to ensure that does not happen to him. This documentary was very enjoyable. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I recommend you even watch it after this just because it was highly produced, very well done. I couldn't even cover all the points in this video. I don't know how long it's going to be, but it was fantastic and I definitely recommend it to anybody. One of the best documentaries and outsider perspectives we've got. Thank you KSI for being such a top G, and I'll see you guys later.
Don't give me a kiss, KSI.